Tina, and I'm a community manager at RGA. So I manage social media strategy, content strategy. I manage for clients like MasterCard Business. So mostly their business channels, like on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And also I do McCormick Spices Facebook page, Pinterest, and Instagram. And I recently graduated Boston University in May 2012. I was in the School of Management studying marketing and business administration. And throughout college, I've been really involved in the startup scene and in the digital marketing scene in New York and Boston. And I've interned at 10 different places, from big agencies like Gray and Hill Holiday to little startup agencies like Buzz University. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a great time when I was there. And other than my work life, I'm really interested in startup and tech, so I read a lot about them, and I go to a lot of events. And I'm also a huge musical theater fan. Oh, and I'm also the social media manager for the Acapella Society of America. I'm a huge acapella nerd. I was really involved in that in college too. I started off, so my first internship in the marketing realm was in Buzz University. It was a really small agency. It had like 5 people in it. And I worked really, really closely with the CEO and the founder. And it was a really interesting experience because they were a really early startup. And so I worked really closely with the founding members and kind of helped them pave their way into, what they want to do, what clients they want to obtain. And I was an intern back then. And one of the things that I realized when I started off is that there's no structure at all. And that kind of scared me a little bit. And I feel like other interns who would kind of feel the same way. One of the first projects that I asked my boss is that, maybe would help if I create kind of like a white paper or one sheet that says, what your company is about, what Buzz University is, what the tagline is, what clients that we like to work with, what are the clients, and just kind of have the interns read that when they start out. And there's a lot of self-motivated things that I did with that company. And in comparison to a larger agency, so I've interned at Gray last year, and it's also a really big agency in New York. And there's definitely the intern program was really structured, and I actually really enjoyed that too because I actually learn a lot because there's like different seminars that we have to go to every 2 weeks. So every other week we get to meet people from the creatives. We get to learn about copywriting. We get to learn about account management, what's production. And that really made me understand what an agency is about and how a big agency works and how everyone works with each other. And yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest differences, I think. So back to Emily's story, just to add on. So I reached out to Emily because back then I started to be really active on Twitter. And I saw Emily's Twitter, like someone was tweeting at her, and I looked at her website. And I saw that, oh my God, this girl looks so legit, and she had all these cool internships, and I have to meet her and just talk to her about it. So I just kind of emailed her and was like, oh, I saw your website. I think, these things are really cool. We just got coffee sometime. I'm in New York also. And Emily was nice enough to say, okay. And we met up at Starbucks. I still remember 2 years ago. So that's one way of kind of just cold calling people. And I would say there's a lot of ways online and there's offline. So let's start with offline, where there's networking events. So if you were to sign up for a networking event like one in New York Creative Interns, usually when you sign up, you can see like who else is attending those events on Eventbrite. So kind of just look through that list and see who you're interested in, and look on their LinkedIn, look on their website, and see who you want to meet. And you really have to be strategic about these things because you go to a networking event, there's so many people there, there's only so much time that you can use. And if you do research beforehand, know exactly who you want to meet, then that saves time, really allow you to use your time more efficiently. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't meet as many people as possible, but I'm just saying, it helps to do some research beforehand so you have a good idea of who you want to meet there. And other than that, you should also research questions that you want to ask them as an icebreaker, or for moments where there's an awkward silence, so you can break the silence and ask them questions. And after the networking event, you should always follow up with people that you meet. So after you meet someone, always ask for their business cards so you know how to contact them afterwards. So over the past 2 summers, I went to a bunch of networking events, met a bunch of people. So the next day, I would sit down with a bunch of business cards there and email them saying, it was great meeting you, and always mention something specific that you guys talked about, because those people meet so many people at these events, and they won't necessarily remember you unless you kind of nudge them a little bit and say, oh, we talked about skiing, and just kind of and nudge them a little bit and remind them who you are. And after that, say, I'd love to meet you, for coffee or for an informational interview, and meet them face to face if you really think that that person you want to continue the conversation with them. And after meeting them for coffee, always keep in touch with them, and check in with them. Maybe after 2 months you've met, and just say, oh yeah, how are you doing? I saw this article and that kind of reminds me of you. And don't be discouraged when people don't reply you right away, because people who are working, they're busy. So even sometimes they take 2 weeks to reply you, and just don't be discouraged, and always follow up. If they don't reply you in 2 weeks, just follow up and remind them, say, hey, I want to follow up on this email. I mean, they're not replying you intentionally. They're just really busy. And in terms of networking online, definitely be on different social channels, on Twitter, be on LinkedIn, be active on those. I mean, Twitter is such a great platform for networking. Like, I love Twitter. You can talk to anyone you want. You can tweet at Dennis Crowley, and he will reply you. He will reply you and say things. And if you have a point of view, and if you have great thoughts about tech or the industry that you're in, then start a blog and show the people you have a point of view, and employees will recognize that. So if I was in an event, my go-to question would be, so what brings you here? That's kind of like an easy go-to question. And maybe another one. So I'm actually, whenever I go to events, I'm really aware of kind of what people around me are saying, or what they're saying, and how they're dressed and stuff like that, and I kind of dig up conversations from that. So, for example, I remember I went to a Mashable event 2 years ago, and I saw these people with like these stickers, and I was wondering where they got those stickers, because I want them. So I just went up to this person and was like, hey, where'd you get that sticker? It just started a conversation about the sticker, and then we were like, oh, so where do you work? Like, blah, blah, and just like continue the conversation. And once you broke the ice with people, you really should listen to what they're saying, because that's oftentimes you can find cues to the next question, and to what you should ask them next, and to continue the conversation. And of course, as I've mentioned before, always have kind of go do some research beforehand and kind of figure out some questions that you feel comfortable asking people. Oftentimes at a lot of events, a really typical one is like, so what do you do? What do you do in your company? How long have you been there? I'm really interested in hearing more about that. So just keep continuing the conversation and go with the flow. How to stand out? I would just say, be really comfortable with who you are and really show your personality, because so many job hunters go to these events and they try so hard to impress recruiters and to impress people working in companies, and all they talk about is like themselves, and like all they talk about is, I've been to this, I've done all these things, and it's just the same with everyone. So if you just strike up a conversation with them and just kind of don't really mention too much about the work, just be natural and really show your personality through the conversation. And that's how those people really remember you. And in terms of you know versus who you know, I would say that, you know, of course, both are important. But when it comes down to it, it's really, you know, what you know. You can know every single person in the world, but if you're an idiot, then everyone is just going to know that. So when it comes down to it, it's about your work. This is something that my mom taught me. It's always about, you know, if you work hard, if you do good work, people are going to notice it, and people can't take you down if you do good work. Interning during the semester is definitely really hard. Because the thing is, there's like exams happening at school, and I was also really involved in student life. My senior year, I was president of my marketing club, president of my a cappella group, and also really involved in my business fraternity. So I'm an Alpha Kappa Psi, so if there's anyone who's in that too, give us a shout out. So I was really involved in school, and when I was interning, like it was really hard to focus on so many things at once. But you know, you just have to push through it and be able to like tell yourself, you know, when you're at work, then you should focus on working as hard as possible as an intern. And when you're at school, then, you know, study hard. When you're at your student groups, you know, enjoy the time there. And I think that, you know, it's really about balance and your priorities. You know, when I was a senior, I knew that job hunting was my priority. I needed a job after graduation. So internship was definitely a priority, and also schoolwork. I mean, honestly, this might defy what your parents says, but I think that interning and experiences is more important than schoolwork. But I think schoolwork is important too. Like, you should know the basic knowledge and all the theories, which like will help eventually. But working really allowed me to understand what the dynamics between people are, like learn how to read people, learn how the different departments work together. And that really gave me a leg up when I started and when I was interviewing at RGA. And yeah, I mean, I think that student life was kind of and I mean, even it was sometimes stressful leading different student groups, but I loved it. So it was kind of like my release from work. I remember when I was in a cappella, like we have 8 hours rehearsals every week, and I never complained because it's just a way to de-stress. So whatever you guys do, always have a way to, you know, de-stress. And is de-stress a word? It's a word, right? Yeah, de-stress. Or like release stress. So like whether it's like singing or like acting or reading books or just like sports, just have something. Okay, so there was like this one interview where they actually had a sheet there was a case study that I had to read, and I had to answer all these questions about the case study, and it was pretty number intensive. And I'm not a really numbers person, so that was kind of the most difficult question that I've had. So I'm not being really specific, but there are definitely companies, especially like bigger corporate companies, where they give you a case study right then and there. You read it for 10 minutes, and they come back in to ask you questions about the case study. And that's definitely the hardest one I've had before. So whenever you write a cover letter, always cater to the job that you're applying to. You know, people oftentimes get really sick and tired of writing cover letters because you know, they apply to so many companies at once and then just kind of like copy and paste a company. Just try your best not to do that. I know it's difficult, but just try your best to like kind of cater to the application, cater to the job that you're applying for and the company that you're applying for, and really show that you're actually interested in the company. And Kristen here said she always looked at the resume. And actually, fun fact, I haven't written a cover letter for like almost a year and a half. I only submit my resume, and it's always through internal application. And it's always better to apply through someone in the company, and they just send in your resume, than just applying blankly on the company's database. Because like if you apply on their database, they're probably not going to see it. So back to networking comes first. Should network with people and keep in touch with them. Send them your resume. Do your research. Thank you, Kristen. And you know, when you reach out to people, oh yeah, I actually have a story. So in the past 2 spring breaks, instead of going to Cancun and drink and pass out every single day, I went on a networking trip to New York both times. And how I prepared for that is that I started researching for people during December and kind of see what companies that I'm interested in. I just want to search for people that I want to talk to. And I saw them on LinkedIn. And if I see any second-degree connections that I have with them, I reach out to my first-degree connection, who is like usually my friend or someone that I've met. And I say, you know, I saw this, you're connected to this person, and I'd love to speak with them. And oftentimes my friend is like, oh yeah, here's a contact, like contact them, say that I referred you. And I just reach out to those people who are in my second-degree connection. And I had follow up with them a few times to get the meeting to happen. And I had this whole spreadsheet that had over 15 informational interviews throughout spring break. And I just talked to as many people as possible. And that really just trains you to know how to talk to people, and you just show that you're really interested in their company and really interested in their work. Yeah, follow-up is definitely really crucial in networking. Because the thing is, you meet so many people all the time. So you meet like, I don't know, if you say you networked and met like 500 people, you can't keep in touch with every single one of them. Just to pick and choose people that you really connect with and you really think that can help you in your career or just develop yourself as a person. And I definitely have those people. And you know, if you think that they're the right person that you want to keep in touch with, you know, sometimes make them your mentor. I have 3 mentors, and they're all for different things. Like one is specifically for my digital career. One is for kind of more personal growth. Yeah, that's actually how I got my job at RGA, through follow-ups. So I met this girl. She actually went to my school. She graduated 2 years before me, and she used to work at another big digital agency. And she used to work at Digitas. And you know, my first initial meeting with her was really great. We really connected. I really liked her. I thought that she was, you know, very inspiring to me, and I would like to keep the conversation going. So every few months, I would kind of just catch up with her and say, oh, you know, I'm in New York. Let's catch up. And a year ago, she told me she switched companies to RGA. And back then, I haven't heard of RGA back then. And after she told me about that company, I started doing research about this company, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I thought it was so cool. The work is really cool. And throughout my senior year, I just kind of followed kind of what RGA has been doing, and I knew that, you know, this is definitely one of the companies that I wanted to work at. And my mentor was a person that I was talking about. She actually, you know, she put in my resume, really advocated for me, and I'm really thankful that she helped me out. And, you know, follow up and in touch with your mentors and people that you really think will help you develop as a person. Typical day. There's not really a typical day. But I would say that every day I start off with looking at my schedule, looking at every single thing that I need to do today, check my email, and so as a community manager, I have to manage Facebook pages. So, for example, for McCormick Gourmet, that's a page I manage. I have to go on it and be kind of there all the time because people, will comment on our posts and ask questions saying, oh, where can I get this spice? Or where can I get this recipe? Or like, I've got this, I want to cook beef tonight. Are there any good recipes that I can use? So as a manager, I have to respond to them, which I think is really fun. And other than these like kind of day-to-day things I have to do on the Facebook page, I also have to create content and create posts and copy for the Facebook pages. So you might think that all these posts are impromptu, but they're actually not. So usually brands plan ahead, oftentimes 1 month before ahead. So I will create a content calendar and kind of strategize, I'm thinking right now is February and it's award season. So how can I relate, my client's brand to award season, and what kind of content can I create through that? Maybe, it was a Golden Globes, and I can say, it's a Golden Globes. You should have a Golden Globes party. This is this dish. And after creating the content calendar, I'll, go back and forth with the client, like copy, and be ready to go for the next month. And other than that, I go to a lot of meetings to brainstorm for different like strategies. And I also always keep my Google Reader open so I can see like, breaking news about, Facebook just released, the new search that everyone is talking about. So I have to read up upon that because, the digital advertising industry just moves so quickly, and it's so important to keep up. And I think that's really suitable for me because I'm a really fast-paced person. And as you might have realized, the speed that I talk really fast too. So if I'm talking really fast, please tell me to talk slower. And yeah, just be updated with advertising news, social media news, tech news, be like on the know about everything that's going on. So in terms of, how to reach out to cold call people, again, just like the cover letter, you have to be specific and don't be generic. Like, don't say, oh, I'm an advertising student and I'm interested in what you're doing. Let's meet up and have coffee. Like, don't say that. Look on their website, look on their LinkedIn, do as much research as possible, and know what they're interested in, and just kind of say, for example, for Emily, she worked at Flavor Pill? No, Gawker. Gawker, yeah, so I saw, both, okay, she worked at both. Okay, so I was right both times. So I saw that Emily worked at Flavor Pill and Gawker, and I was like, I saw that you worked at these two companies. I read Gawker every single day. I think this is really cool. What else? There are specific things that she listed out in her roles that she did at those companies, and just kind of be really specific about what you're interested in and why you want to meet this person. And usually when people see that you actually made an effort to look at their LinkedIn and you're actually interested in them as a person, then they'll be flattered. Oftentimes, professionals, we get flattered if people reach out to us. And just one more note, when you go out to network with people or meet up for informational interviews, you don't want to seem as if you only want to use them to get a job out of it. Because people, we don't like to be used. Like, just be really sincere and show that you're actually interested in a career development and you're actually interested in what they've done. Be sincere, be authentic. Don't show that you're trying to use them, because they know that if you reach out to them, you're looking for opportunities or jobs. They know that already, so you don't have to spell it out. One of them, it was a funny situation. So one of them, his name is Eric, and he's super awesome. He works in a startup. He used to work at an advertising agency in Boston, and he's now at a startup. And he's actually a year older than me in BU. And I got to know him actually through Twitter. And I saw it was when I first started off using Twitter and started to be really active in it. I saw that this person had a lot of followers. He tweeted really interesting content. And I was like, oh, you go to BU. That's so awesome. I'd love to meet up with you. And ever since, like, we kind of just became friends, and I just kind of went straight up to him. I was like, "Oh my God, you should be my mentor." And he was like, "Okay." and then ever since then, we've kind of had that mentor-friend relationship going on. And the other two was, it just came naturally, because they're both of them are a little bit older, so they kind of see me as like this, like, young girl trying to like really make it, and they always give me good advice, and I really appreciate it. And whenever I have questions, I just like go to them and ask them, and they always give me good advice. So have a mentor; they're awesome. Yeah, I mean, let me start off with my specific role. So when I first started off, they actually didn't have a community manager on that account, and they really needed one. So I stepped in at a good time, and I kind of just made that role like myself, and really created that role for the account. So by really taking initiative. So kind of the things that they told me to do day to day was, of course, to manage a Facebook page, to create a content calendar, and actually this summer, so we had a contest called the Dinner Party Chain Contest, and it was the end of the campaign, and I just saw that people entered in so many different cool entries, and I thought, there's so much data here, and it could be really valuable for the brand to kind of understand the data, have an analysis of it, and we'll learn from it and kind of understand what our users are thinking. So I talked to our planner and was like, there's so much good data here. I would love to start an analysis and work with you to kind of understand who our target audience actually are on the page, and how we can create better engagement with them on our future content calendar. And I just kind of created that project myself, and ever since I've been working really closely with a planner, with a social media strategist, working more on the strategy side of the account itself. And in terms of the differences between different community managers, I would say that there's definitely a big difference between a community manager in a startup and one at a digital advertising agency. I would think that community managers at startups definitely have more flexibility, because they just started off, they can do whatever they want with the brand, and the only person that they need to report to, they need to work with, is the CEO. So the community manager is essentially kind of working as like a marketing manager, and even like a vice chief marketing officer in the company, because they're creating this brand while creating this community for their startup. So in working in an agency, it's really different, because especially a big agency like RGA, we work really closely with clients, and most of our clients are Fortune 500 companies. And I think that a great thing that I learned there is how to work with these corporate clients and get them to understand social media, and have presentations with them, because in startups you don't really need to present anything much, because you sit beside the CEO, and if you have an idea, just like go next door and talk to him. But if you work in an agency, you get to prepare for this presentation, prepare for this deck, and wear a nice suit and present to your clients. And I think that this part of advertising, I think it's really fun too, and that's kind of like a big difference in comparison in comparing agency community managing and startup community managing. Okay, that's a good question. What's my favorite thing about RGA? I love the people there. I mean, when it comes to it, like when you go to your job every single day, it's really about the people that you work with. And I mean, I fortunately work with really cool accounts, which I really enjoy. But I think the bonus is definitely everyone's really cool. Everyone's really smart and really interesting. So I think that other than our work, everyone in my company have like their side thing that they're interested to. Some people like some people are really good at basketball. There are like painters, there are musicians, and it's just so interesting to like talk to them and get inspired by them. And I sit on the floor with a bunch of mobile and social people, so people in my department, and we just talk about mobile and social all the time, and it's just so awesome, and I just learned so much from all of them. And I just sit across from my director, and he's hilarious, and he always shares some nuggets of knowledge with me, and I definitely love the people that I work with. I love the culture. It's really cool. It's kind of like a college culture because it's such a huge company and everyone's like pretty hip and cool. I mean, I'm one of the youngest people there. I just graduated. But even the older people who are married, they're all really cool. And I love just meeting everyone at the company. It's super fun. So I love working there. And some final tips, I would say definitely be persistent. I think that throughout college, I sent so many follow-up emails, so many cold call emails, went to so many networking events. In the past 2 summers when I was interning in New York, I basically went to a networking event almost every single day. I just wanted to meet as many people as possible in the industry, just get inspired, just learn as much as possible. If you look on my website, my tagline is passion and lifelong learning. So just have this, sincere attitude to soak in as much as possible. And what else? Oh yeah, and learn to play to your strengths. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Every single person is unique, and we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Once you find out your strengths, really cultivate it and do as well as possible. And I mean, I found out that it's really easy for me to talk to people. So I kind of trained myself, and just by just being brave and have a thick skin, and just talk to as many people as possible, and yeah, really play to your strengths. work at RGA, have to know your stuff, definitely. You have to be knowledgeable about what's going on in the tech industry. You have to be creative. Everyone's creative there. If you see a startup, and you should be thinking about ways on how your brand can work with it. And I mean, all the knowledge stuff is given. And what you look for is really whether you fit in the company. It's about personality too, and whether you're really hardworking person. Everyone works hard there. And HR and recruitment, Kristen, you guys do such a good job with hiring. Like, I trust everyone that works at RGA. Everyone does a great job, and that's mostly what we look for in a candidate. Is that specific enough? Is that good enough, everyone? Yeah. Woo. Thank you. Have a good night. High five. Yeah. Oh, they're still here. Woo! Hopefully it's helpful to everyone. So have good nights. Thank you. I'm just gonna stay here. I don't want to leave.
The online meeting is